maybe they don't lose.
Yep, we are live. We are live. All right. Want to come from behind the screen? Are we all ready to do this? People can hear us now.
Well, if they can hear us.
It's like radio right now, my friend. It's just like radio. Let me know when you're ready, my friends.
We're ready, dude.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Come on, Marco.
Boom. Here we are.
I wasn't ready. What are you doing?
you know, I asked if you were ready specifically. All right, do we like this camera shot? Do we like this one? No,
I like the box. In case I'm half Italian, so I talk with my hands.
Yeah. I don't know why it looks so dark where I'm at. This is weird.
I mean, mine never looks light.
We got that.
What's happening?
Nah. Changing it all up. I think we go with that one. All right, gentlemen. Welcome to the Bleedbigblue podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is week 2 in a row. 2 in a row. I can't believe I did it. It was supposed to be on Wednesday, but better late than never. Jack, how we feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you doing, Marco?
I'm hanging in. Will, how we doing today?
Doing good. I'm not thrilled. I look it's all dark here.
We get it.
I don't know what the deal is. It's very
strange. Shine some light on the situation.
I mean, I have a light I could whip out and put in front of me, but I really don't feel like whipping it.
Doesn't look that dark.
Maybe it's just my computer. I'm doing okay. You got some people? All right. What's up? What's up?
We do.
John?
We do.
What's up, Mark?
Invite your audience to connect their Facebook restream to their names and profile pictures. Send viewers to chat.restream.io/FB to start. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to send you guys wherever to this link. Get some of the housekeeping out of the way.
What's happening?
Get some housekeeping out of the way.
What about?
Okay. What up, everyone? What up, John? What up, Jason? What up, Mark Hernandez? What about John again? Got a few Johns in the chat. So, gentlemen, any news going on since we last spoke?
The rumor mill is starting.
It is kicking up a little bit, huh?
About a month away.
And
we've been looking for like that. Been looking for some of those insider, things like when we started hearing rumblings that the Giants were interested in Daniel Jones, even though he was ranked 847th on everybody's big board. We're waiting to hear. The only real rumors we've heard is really Malik Willis and the Steelers. Now we're starting to finally hear a little bit about the Giants' mentality, where it's looking very much like they're going to go. At least they're interested in the offensive tackles. I mean, we assumed they were interested in Aquanu and Cross. Now, Aquanu and Neal. Now we see that they apparently were very impressed with Cross on his pro day. So I think it's realistic that one of those tackles would drop to the Giants at 5. Then I heard they took Sauce out to dinner last night or the night before, which I wonder what the logistics of that are. Like, what's up?
As in what?
Like
how many people do this?
Yeah, okay. When I was, I'm trying to think, if you're getting recruited by a school or something and you're taking a visit to their school, they know they have you for the weekend. They take you out to a restaurant. That makes sense, right? But when there's 8 teams at a pro day and then all 8 teams are out of town the very next day, how does it get worked out as to who gets to take that player out to dinner? Does he get 8 invitations and then he's giving a little wink to the team he'd rather take him by going with them? Do teams not really do this? Is it kind of fround upon?
Yeah.
You're really trying to get.
It's got to go through the agent.
Right, but I'm saying the fact that no, I understand that, but I'm saying, does that mean that that team has a better chance of landing that player. I mean, it may or may not, because a team that doesn't take him out to dinner could just draft him and he has no choice but to go there. But it's just sort of I wonder how the logistics of it work.
Yeah, because when I was reading about the Malik Willis's pro day, I saw that apparently there was 18 combined personnel there from the Falcons, the Panthers, and I believe it was the Seahawks, but yet didn't read that they took him out to dinner. So I don't know, but they had by far the most people there out of any team.
I don't know
that Willis went out with the Saints before the Giants.
Yeah, I don't remember ever hearing.
Willis went out with the Saints before the Giants?
I think so.
Malik Willis the Giants took Malik Willis out to dinner?
I'm sorry. Not Malik Willis.
Sauce Gardner?
I went to,
Gardner.
Go beat the sauce. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know how that really works. You would think all these teams would be clamoring to be the ones who got to take a player out to dinner. You would think that they would all say to the agent, we'd like to take him out to dinner. And then the agent would say to the player, all these teams are interested in taking out to dinner. Probably a combination of which one you think is realistic where you might land, and then which one you might want to land there. So, if
Saints is interesting because they're way back. Like, why are they taking him out?
Who they take out?
Sauce.
Well, that indicates that they might be that interested in trading up for him, and they told because he's not lasting until 18.
Do you think this is all a smokescreen? We'll pretend we're showing major interest in the player.
I thought about that. I mean, you're just wasting your night, wasting a couple $100. I mean, who cares? But I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see what some people are talking about here.
Where would you go? Where would you go if you were going to take someone out for? Where do you think they went? Del Frisco's?
No, because they're not in New York.
They were in Cincy.
Oh, they're in Cincy. Yeah.
Marco, get your head out, bro.
Yeah. You know what? I'm thinking about. I'm a New Yorker. That's why.
Nah, that's what I also thought about that as being pretty funny. You're in some random ass town. You got to be like, what's a good place around here?
What's good around here? You're asking him.
Or you're asking him. Correct. I had the privilege of having that happen to me when I was being recruited in college, in high school for lacrosse. I had a team was like, we'll take you wherever you want to go. What's your favorite restaurant? So that was pretty cool.
All right, best Cincinnati restaurants. Here we go. Scotto's. Anyone in the chat know about Scotto's? Nada. Kruger's Tavern.
Saying best Cincinnati restaurants, like saying tallest guy in Munchkinland.
I'm talking 915 ratings, 4.5 stars on most of them.
Yeah, but they're from Cincinnati. They don't know real food. It's Darwinism, Marco.
It's not
when you have pizza places in New York City, you got 100 pizza places on one block. The only one that's going to make it is the one that actually has the best pizza, the best business practices. If you're in Cincinnati, you open up a pizza place, you might be the only one within 30 miles. There's no competition. People go, oh, you want pizza? Go over to Patty O'Brien's Pizza. It's really authentic Italian.
Patty O'Brien's, baby.
Jack, you look miserable.
No, see, out of the corner of my eye, I'm watching Gonzaga go down.
You can watch. It's okay. I have it on in the front of my. See, I'm good. I have it right in front, so it kind of looks like I'm talking to you guys, but I'm really watching.
Someone is asking.
I'm also reading the comments.
Lacrosse where?
I played lacrosse at Farmingdale High School, and I ended up playing my college ball at Princeton. Back when that actually meant a little more. That was 6-time national champion Princeton Tigers. Them and Cuse were the two big schools when I was coming out. I know nowadays I don't think they've been back to a Final Four in quite some time. But wow, that was a crazy shot.
When you were there, how were they?
We made a Final Four, a couple Ivy League championships, I think, but it wasn't. We had a very good. Yeah, it kind of went a little bit downhill. We had some trouble scoring goals and stuff like that. But anyway, this isn't about me. It's about Jack. No. Let's see. I think Giants going to trade back one of their firsts. Mark. Yeah, very possible. I wouldn't be surprised. I think I think if they grab an offensive tackle, they would, with either pick, if they can come out of it with an offensive tackle, I think they'd either go with like that other pick, a trade back, or if Thibodeau is there, they would contemplate it. And maybe if they love Sauce, I'm not huge on taking DBs in the first 10 picks. It's just a weird bugaboo I have. It might not be statistically sound or backed or whatever. It might not make sense analytically, but I think they might consider that. That's kind of what I feel like the Giants are going to do at this point. grab their offensive tackle with one of those 2 picks because there's Neil Cross and Aquanu. They seem to like them. They could really use a right tackle. You might as well get him young instead of getting them later when they're so much more expensive. And then with that other pick, if Thibodeau or Sauce are there, they would consider taking them, possibly trade. But if they're not there, I think I don't want to say definitely trade, but very likely would trade. That's kind of what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw, but the very vague rumor came out this afternoon that the Giants seemingly are willing to trade one of their firsts in order to gain a first next year. So the rumors around that are starting to come out, and we'll see if it happens. You know me, I'm all aboard that train.
I know. It's tough, though, Marco. Like, Jack and I were talking like, okay, how hard would it be? The Giants grab, let's say, Aquanu at 5, and somehow Thibodeau falls to 7. Do you really pass on that because you say, well, look, Jones probably isn't the answer. Therefore, let's trade, pass up on Thibodeau, trade, get an extra first, so next year we can get our, hopefully, get our stud quarterback in a seemingly better quarterback draft as of now, and hope that it works out that way? Or do you just take Thibodeau and say, hey, whatever happens next year happens. We can always trade future firsts or seconds and thirds. We might suck anyway and have the number 3 pick overall and get the first quarterback. But it's like my head would say trade that pick. My heart would say take a tackle on Thibodeau. Are you kidding me? That's gold. What do you feel, Marco?
I'm thinking if the Giants can trade back and stay relatively on the lower end of the first round, 20s, keeping that second first round pick, someone coming up a little bit. I think it might be worth it.
Well, they could trade the first. I mean, if they trade the 7, they could trade in. You could get a first round pick and not have to go that far back.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If they could stay within the first round too, so you still have 2 first round picks. You're picking up another one next year.
But the thing is, you're passing on Thibodeau.
Correct. Thinking that, having your question marks around Jones, maybe he's not the franchise quarterback. There's a few quarterbacks that the Giants seem to be interested in or hanging around earlier.
One photo.
One photo.
Who are they going to? Of course, they're going to say hi to Stroud.
But if they're not that competitive, they might have another high pick, and now you added another first rounder on to that year where you're possibly in the market for a quarterback.
So what would you do, Marco? If someone said to you, you can trade, you can get, let's say Neil at 5 and trade the 7 back to New Orleans, get the 18th pick, a first next year, a third this year, but you miss out on Thibodeau. You do that?
I think I do that.
And then Thibodeau becomes a Hall of Famer, and we have Jermaine Johnson or Karlaftis, and we're fine with it.
I'm okay with it.
I think it's one of those situations where both scenarios are right, but what do you feel is the better of the two? Obviously, picking Thibodeau is not going to be the wrong pick. Well, obviously, time will tell. But we all know it comes down to a franchise quarterback in this league. You don't have one, it doesn't matter who you have. Does not matter. And it's riskier to trade back as well, like you said. It may result in nothing. Maybe they can't get the trade done next year to get into the top 5, and we miss out on the top 3 quarterbacks. It may not mean anything. But when you don't have an answer at franchise quarterback, you got to shoot your shot, and that's the best way to do it.
So many things have to happen.
Yeah.
So many things would have to happen. You would have to trade back, get a first. Next year, be happy with these guys. Bryce Young doesn't take a step back. Stroud doesn't take a step back. Some other people step up, and there's multiple quarterbacks. Other teams are around and don't go up to get their quarterback, or you can outbid them to get the quarterback. Like, so many things have to happen in order for that to go down. So, yeah, best case scenario is, as we see the huge upset here with Arkansas defeating by 6 points Gonzaga. I thought Gonzaga looked lazy on defense, by the way. But their big man fouled out and shouldn't have. Anyway, so I don't know. It's a difficult call, but I mean, let's put it this way: would you guys be mad if the Giants came out of the first round with an offensive tackle and Kayvon Thibodeau?
I'd be thrilled.
No, man.
Even though our franchise is doomed for the next 20 years.
Now,
because we have no quarterback. What do you do next year about quarterback?
Well, listen, depending on where they are, if the quarterback class is that strong and Daniel Jones looks bad this year, or let's just say mediocre or below average, and you have to trade up, you may have to mortgage the next couple of year picks to get it. It's just I hate the idea of it, but like you just got to do it.
I hate the idea of it, especially when these quarterbacks are like small and like meek and like well protected. I don't know that there's like a, you knew what Joe Burrow was. He looked the part. He was from the school. They threw tons of touchdowns. Like, I don't know that these quarterbacks, like you talk about, Jack, they look like they're in high school, like Bryce Young.
Bryce Young looks like he's 15. But you know what? Listen, they got a whole nother year to grow, and him and Stroud have already played on the biggest stage in football. So, and have dominated at the college level already as sophomores.
Marco, what do you feel?
So I think they're in the QB market if Daniel Jones has anything but a spectacular year.
Yeah, because
that's a
franchise tag.
If it's mediocre,
right? I think he'd have to have 30 touchdowns, less than 15 picks, and the Giants would have to win like 8 games plus for them to consider keeping Jones around.
I would agree. It would have to take a special year because that franchise tag is now going to be insane because of what happened this offseason.
You're going to have to take into account to all those. Yeah,
it's going to be about $42 million, I think.
I want to hear from the fans out there what you guys think about Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker, and Marco, you and I haven't really discussed this. Mm-hmm. He is the most polarizing player in this draft. I have him, I think, 16 overall. If anyone doesn't know, he's the defensive lineman. I'm not going to call him a defensive end.
Defensive player.
Defensive human for Georgia. He is ranked by the NFL's official website as tied for the 40th overall player in this draft. 40th, Marco. Yet multiple reputable scouts have him going in the top 3 picks. 3 picks. Someone has him going number 2. Someone has Daniel Jeremiah, who I respect. He's got Detroit taking Trayvon Walker at 2 overall. Now, again, I have him at 16. NFL has him at 40. I think we might have talked about him last time. Big, strong, fast, all that stuff. Not that much bigger, stronger, and faster than some other guys like Boye Mafe and some others. Doesn't have a lot of sack numbers. I know he played assignment football, this and that, but even when he was on the edge, when you watch him, he really doesn't have much of a pass rush. They're just strictly projecting that he's such a physical freak that he's worth taking in the top 5. And I just hope the Giants – I think he could be good. Again, I have him as the 16th overall player in this draft. That's a compliment. That's great. But I see him more as like a Leonard Williams type than a true off-the-edge rusher. And because we right now have some solid interior guys, I just yearn for those days when Strahan was coming off the edge in every play. JPP was coming off the edge in every play. OC was coming off the edge and swiping at the ball on every play. That's what I yearn for. So I don't want the Giants taking him at 5 or 7. I want to know what you guys think about Walker. So, Nathan, I would be thrilled if the Lions or any team ahead of us took Walker. I agree. Mr. Sexy Scottish says we can't draft Walker in the top 10. If we end up trading down from 15 landed at 15 to 23 range, then we can take Walker. I agree. Walker is a workout warrior, which I think – I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
I think that's an insult.
See, you guys both – it could be tell us what you think, because workout warrior could either mean like this guy is nuts and he's physical and it's awesome, or it can mean like he looks great in his workouts, but he's not.
Yeah, sucks on the field.
I'm not
sure. Clarify.
I agree with you. I just took that comment as a compliment.
So I don't know what your feelings are on this, guys.
He said an insult. 1 for
Insult,
Marco,
thank you.
0 for me.
And I think he goes somewhere between 10 and 12. I don't
All
think
right,
scouts have him as
let's-
high as certain guys do. What do you guys think?
Looking at his numbers, 6'5", 272, 35.5-inch arms, 4.51 40.
That was his big selling point. It was the 40 and the size.
He just doesn't fit the team that we have right now. You know, Wink's edge rushers, like he's not going to be an edge rusher. I feel like Wink's Martindale's edge rushers are these big fit. I know he ran a 4.5, but he's 272. Like I don't know how fast he is coming off the edge. You know that 5-yard burst, that initial push.
Right.
Like you said, and the college tape doesn't show it.
No. He's got no moves. I don't know if you can teach bend, if you can teach moves, if you can teach that off the edge explosiveness, but if you're a 4-3 defense, then maybe, and I think he's going to be good. Again, I don't mean to come down hard on him. I think he's going to be good.
He
But I
could be.
think there's
I
a
don't even
difference
know that.
between being good and being a top 5 or top 7 overall pick. So every year there's someone I hope the Giants don't take.
This is it. This is it.
He's my guy for this year, unless we traded back and they just think he's
Still
gonna
wouldn't
be
want him.
Yeah, he still wouldn't be my main guy, but
He's just not the fit.
do we
It's
know
really
if Jones is
for
healthy
me.
for the season? No, we don't.
We don't.
Better off taking a Kobe Dean. I like Dean.
Lloyd.
I like Dean. Devin Lloyd is my linebacker number 1. Devin Lloyd's a linebacker out of I'm forgetting. Is it Houston? Utah rather. He reminds me of Isaiah Simmons, but in my opinion, what people were hoping Isaiah Simmons would be. I was not high. I was one of the lowest on Isaiah Simmons when he came out. I say great athlete, but I'm not seeing where he fits on a football field. Devin Lloyd reminds me of that. He's tall. He's long. His 40 wasn't what I was hoping, but he plays pretty fast. But unlike Isaiah Simmons, he's great at the point of attack. He takes on blockers. He gets down and dirty in the run game. And I think he's the kind of guy, if the Giants traded back to the teens and took someone like that, he could kind of be a field general for the Giants. Just sort of, in on every play. You're always seeing his number flying around out there. So that would be someone that I'd be interested in. But got a little Jermaine Johnson chatter here.
I like him.
Jack and I are just upset because Jermaine Johnson's like 28 years old already. And that's why I like, what is it, Jack? Karlaftis is a true junior. Thibodeau is a true junior.
What? They came out with who was going to be 21 at draft time. I saw it on Twitter list like a couple hours ago.
What is it?
There's a list on Twitter of the top draft prospects that are going to be 21, which essentially means they were juniors. I'm trying to find it.
We got to talk Ajabo as well, everybody. I'm a little disappointed. David Ajabo, defensive end, Michigan, was a guy who I was comparing to JPP. Very little experience, 1 year starting, had a great year. All the physical tools you want. A little thin, but I thought put some weight on him, give him some weight room, some technique, and he could be really good against the run. I had him actually as my number 3 edge rusher in this class. And as I'm sure you saw, Marco, he busted his ACL,
right?
Achilles. No, Achilles
at
his pro day. And fortunately, they're saying now it used to be like a 2-year injury. Now it's like a 6-month injury. But you don't know how someone comes back from that. And it also shows possible, even though this might just be stupid to analyze it this way, fragility. Is the guy fragile? If he snaps his Achilles just catching a ball in the open field, is this going to be an issue for this guy? So that becomes a thing. Where do you guys take someone like that? How does that affect you?
Well,
Jamison Williams, Ajabo, someone who hurts themselves, between how do they come back and are they injury prone? How far back does that drop this person for you? Because I had him at like 13 overall, and I'm not sure what to do with him now.
Me personally, given the Giants' latest rash of injuries that they've had over the past 10 years, I would stay away.
Answering Mr. Sexy Scottish, I would take him there. I wouldn't stay away on
36.
Yeah, I would take him at 36.
I would take him at 36.
I would take him now. I don't know what happens in real life. I don't know if the outsiders are, as in like the fans and the analysts, are higher on Ajabo than the NFL teams. Because if he really was like a top 15 player, I still think he probably might go late 20s. If he wasn't, then he probably falls into the second round. We just don't know what NFL teams' boards look like.
You know, people always seem to only take exception to what I say. So Johnny Stark says, dude, you don't know what you're talking about if you compare him to Simmons and not Parsons. So me watching tons of film on Simmons, me watching tons of film on Lloyd, and saying that he reminds me personally of Simmons, except he's better in the run game. That means I don't know what I'm talking about. Can you explain to me how it means I don't know what I'm talking about if I personally see similarities? By the way, I think, Jack, after I said that to you, other people, top scouts, also said, didn't we read other people say that Lloyd reminded them of Simmons a bit?
Yeah, I've seen it before, and
well,
I think
none of us then know what we're talking about.
I think to Johnny's point, you're both. I think you're both half right, because I think I brought this up to you, like, I don't know, like a month ago. I think Lloyd is right in the middle of a Simmons Parsons like hybrid. Like, I think he's right in the middle of those two prospects when they were coming out of college. Like, Devin Lloyd does have a little bit more pass rushing skills, I think, than Simmons did, like a Parsons, but Simmons could play safety. You're not putting Parsons at safety. You're not putting Lloyd at safety. So, like, I think he falls somewhere in the middle of those two players.
And that's fine. Really, but when John could say, I also see Parsons in there, he doesn't say that if I compare him to Simmons, I don't know what I'm talking about. That makes no sense. The difference between Lloyd and Parsons for me, Parsons is much more twitchy. He's much more physical. He's much more quick off the ball.
You can literally play the edge rush.
He's explosive. I mean, he is a guy who can knock an offensive tackle on his ass. I don't know that he's gonna that Lloyd is gonna do the same thing. And so I don't
think so.
No.
Someone's in agreement with you there, Jack.
I think that's a fair assessment. That both your arguments are correct now. He's right in the middle, I think.
No, but Jack, what you're saying, if we're both right, then he's wrong, because he says you can't compare him to Simmons. I didn't say you can't compare him to Parsons. I said he's like Simmons, and I'm agreeing he's like Parsons. He's saying anyone who compares him to Simmons is a moron. That's not true. Anyway, we need a pure speed rusher with power like Thibodeau and or a DB like Sauce. Yeah, but I don't think you guys want to double dip on the D and leave tackle.
You know what? But are we overthinking it?
Buddy. It's all good.
Are we overthinking it? Is that what it's literally going to be? Thibodeau and Sauce.
They're not going to not take a tackle, I really hope. Unless they just feel so good. They could do anything. They could trade back into the first and take like Penning at like 20. You know,
would you be upset if it was Thibodeau and Sauce?
I would, because I would like an offensive tackle out of that group.
I would be a little. I'd be a little confused.
You'd be a little weary.
I'd be a little confused. Those are two of my favorite players, by the way, Thibodeau and Sauce in this class. So, like, it's like that'd be awesome, but like I'd be very confused on what their plan is for tackle. Then we literally don't have one.
What if they address the O-line with the second-round pick, thinking that they've already put a number one on with Thomas in the equation?
What's up?
If they look at the offensive line,
Buffalo
didn't put a lot of draft capital on their offensive line.
Not a lot of high draft capital, at least.
So if you think that they're going to build it slowly, and considering that Thomas was already a high-round pick, there's a possibility that we are looking at Sauce and Thibodeau, and they'll address the offensive line later on.
What'd you say, Mark? That's what you think is going to happen?
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But the drop off. Okay, I would even argue this. First of all, Cruz is wondering about if I was pro or con Simmons back in the day. Check the tape. I was very anti-Simmons. I wasn't anti. I said he'd be okay, but I didn't get the hype where he should be a top 5 guy or the Giants should take him at whatever it was, 6th that year or something. I just thought he'd be an okay player, mid first round, late first round. To me, Marco, the drop off after the first 3 tackles is the largest drop off in this draft. I mean, I think you could get a late first, early second DB that you're very happy with. I think I think you could grab a lot of edge rushers that'll be just fine. Ebiketie, Benito, maybe some of these guys I'm not even that high on, like a Jackson, or even if you get Carl Loftus late in the first, or there's Jermaine Johnson. There's, it's not like, I just think that the drop off after these tackles, it's such an important position. We happen to need it badly. It's so expensive if you don't take them when they're young. There's 3 of them there, and we have 2 top 7 picks. It just makes so much sense to me. And after those guys, I think is a big drop off to Penning or whoever else you're thinking about.
I got a question for you, for both of you. Is the offensive line a 1-year fix?
No, of course not.
Yeah. No, because
we only brought in one. We only improved in one way, Mark.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think you can. I think you could gamble it and risk it a little and take the 2 defensive guys. Try to plug someone in the later round, 2nd round, 3rd round. I think it's a possibility.
No, it is. But why would you want to risk, like, if offensive line is what you need badly, and there's great people there right now for the taking, why would you just say, let's add a 3rd defensive back who's only going to play half the year?
What if you're trading Bradbury?
Well, if you get rid of Bradbury, that's a whole other story. But
Marco, for a question back to you for that is, I think we're all on the same page that drafting a quarterback next year is probably going to be the move, and we're probably going to be on board with that. We all say yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Wouldn't it be great to already have 2 young tackles in place for him already? We already experienced Jones with the pocket collapsing in a millisecond because we couldn't block. Like, I just can't do that again.
I'm like, I feel like I'm the sign language interpreter.
Just
like,
go through it.
It would be so.
That's huge. A good point. That's
so
a good point.
Huge for a rookie quarterback to come in and he has 2 tackles already that are solidified. That means the pocket should not collapse, at least from the outside. Obviously, interior rush is different.
Marco always wants defense, though. He wanted Parsons. He wants Sauce. He wants Thibodeau. Marco wants to lose every game 3-0.
No. I don't know.
Mr. Sexy Scottish is on fire tonight. Or me and him are on the same page.
Oh, that Tyler Van Dyke that you're in love with?
I brought it up to you a couple of weeks ago for the first time that he's a riser next year and to look out.
Let's see what we got here. Sexy, yes. Cruz, better draft the Damo tackle. Agree. By the way, interior offensive line, you could pick up a nice one in like the 3rd round, 2nd round. D-back, there's a couple good ones in the 2nd round. Edge rusher, you're fine in the 2nd round, even though I'd love one in the 1st. OT, it's all about those big 3, in my opinion. And by the way, I've been touting Cross for quite some time. A lot of people, 50-50 Giants fans, liked it, didn't like it. Killed it at his pro day. People coming around on him again. You look at him; he's very impressive looking. I think he'll be just fine. Some of these guys here saying Tibbs and Sauce would work if we knew we were going O-lineman with our next 3 picks. Zion Johnson. Well, Johnson and Green will probably be gone by the 2nd round. Scottish and Abraham Lucas. I'm not even sure. I think is that the tackle? I'd like to take a tackle earlier than that, personally.
Yeah.
Micah, Neal at 5, trade back at 7 with either the Saints or the Chargers. They need O-line help also. I'd be great with Neal at 5 and a trade back. Anthony says Giants love Cross. I heard that. Yes, that's right. Right. We heard Cross said that 2 teams pursuing him the hardest, the Jets and the Giants. So at first I was pissed about that. They're going to poach him. But then I said, no, at least the Giants are talking to him. So the Giants are serious about offensive tackle.
And not only that.
Hear this out, Marco. As I keep saying.
What would the Jets do then?
Well, the Jets might want to tackle too.
Vera Tucker's a guard?
Yeah. My big 5, as I keep saying, that I think are worth the 5 and the 7 are Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Neal, Cross, and Aquanu. We're guaranteed one of them at 5, obviously. I just wasn't sure if the Giants were high enough on Cross that he'd be one of their 5. Now I think that that they are high enough on him.
And not only that, because I read right after that apparently they still have Neal and Aquanu above them on above Cross on their board, so they are very high in all three. It's
You
not
did
like
hear that
I did read that because
from a
you always
source,
run.
a good source,
I'm sorry.
from a source, a legit.
Yeah, yeah. Seeing like I forget
That's
like
great.
the same exact source I read about them loving Cross.
That's
I
great.
think right after they said it because it's always the possibility that they love Cross, but maybe they hate Neal. They wouldn't.
Correct. I was wondering about that.
Apparently, I've only seen it once, so I don't want to say it's a definite, but I've seen it from that same reliable source that they still have Neal and Aquanu higher.
That's cool.
So that's
Johnny
great.
Stark. Johnny Stark's asking Cross or Neal. I don't know what you guys think, but I've watched a lot of film on these guys. And look, Neal, huge 2-year starter, Alabama left tackle, checks all the boxes. Didn't do any combine stuff, which is always a little bit annoying. I don't want to say a red flag, but his only issue to me is potentially his balance. I think he'll probably be really good, but the issue with me is his balance. I'm not sure if he's so big and strong that he's just never really had to play at a certain athletic level, and what's he going to do in the pros. But ultimately, I would bet on him. Cross could use a little strength, great technique, great balance, great frame. Never really played in the three-point stance in college, but I think his run blocking can get better. So with him, he could use a little strength. With Neal, I'm hoping his balance is okay. Of the 3 tackles, honestly, I don't have a major preference. I don't know about you guys.
Neither do I. I literally can't pick one. If like all 3 are on the board, I don't know who I'd pick. I slightly lean Aquanu because I think he has the highest ceiling. So I'm going to go with the ceiling. If I have all 3 tackles like that close to each other, I'll take the higher ceiling guy. But I guess if I were to say who is the most risky, probably Aquanu.
Yeah, I almost feel Aquanu or Neal are more risky because I just feel like Cross has the highest floor, maybe the lowest ceiling. I feel like Cross is going to be sort of like an Andrew Thomas. He's not going to bury people, but you're kind of just not going to notice him, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Great thing.
So, cruising with the super chat. Thank you very much. For picture be O-line DL.
Yeah, I guess does he not like Aziz? We don't need 2 edge rushers this year. Do you not believe in Aziz Ojulari? That's my only question to that comment. Other than that, I'm with you. 2 O-linemen and an edge rusher in the first 2 rounds.
Me and Johnny Stark got off on a rough note, but we're best friends.
You're good. You're good, man.
By the way, you guys want to check out Marco's OnlyFans page? He's launching that next week. Let's see. I think that John's probably
where it all goes down.
What's up?
The OnlyFans is where it all goes down.
It's called Big Blue Balls. So we got to let's talk about what's going to happen in front of us, because I think the consensus, and I would agree, is that Jacksonville is probably taking Hutchinson, but could still take a tackle. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think they take Hutchinson. I think they should take a tackle. So it's got to be on the board.
Now, the wild cards is the 2 and the 3 pick, really. Because do we feel like the Jets are either going to go O-line, D-back, or edge? I know that's 3 different picks, but is that pretty much it?
No, that narrows it down. That's 3 different positions. You can narrow that. Now you know who their list probably is.
Could they take the sauce man now that all the receivers are heading to the AFC East?
That'd be fantastic.
Detroit?
Jets.
Yes. You skipped. You flew down to 4.
Marco, you're not. I love you. I know you're doing the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain there.
Yeah,
you got to pay attention.
The Jets can take sauce, yes.
So
they have no corners, period.
No, but they just signed 2 young corners. Didn't they, Jack?
Who?
The Jets.
Yes, they signed 1. And
this is like an Abbott and Costello routine. Who? The Jets on what? Who's on first?
They signed DJ Reid from the Seahawks. He's a good. He's 25. He's a good corner. He's not like a 1, but he's a good corner. That I think they believe in their. I think his name is Bryce Hall out of Virginia, who they drafted a couple years ago, who was pretty good last year, like decent.
Wait, so that's who they got?
Yes.
Did the Jets draft him?
Yeah.
Because he was like highly touted.
Well, he was like a 5th rounder.
But I remember people saying at some point he was a lockdown guy. Bryce Hall. Maybe early on.
I think he got injured was the problem.
I want to bring up a name that we haven't talked about, Jack. You and I talked about all the time, and Marco, and we haven't mentioned his name. I don't think I've said this guy's name in like 3 months. And Blue City Empire Sports.
I knew you were going to bring it up.
What's up?
I knew you were going to bring that name up.
Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah. So
Linderbaum is the guy.
Yeah.
I think I have him in the low teens on my board. He peaked
top 10 for me.
He peaked in my top 10. Unfortunately, the Giants coaches went to give him a high five the other day, and he couldn't quite reach him because his arms are the shortest arms in the history of the. I've seen
arms.
Short arms. His arms are so short. I don't even know if he can snap the ball because he can't reach and get it back to the quarterback. Linderbaum's a guy who simultaneously is considered PFF's favorite center of all time that they've ever graded in 15 years. Great technique, great athleticism. I watched a couple of his games.
Mm-hmm.
Technique and athleticism, absolutely. A couple times a game, a big guy will bull rush him because he's not the biggest and the strongest. And then his arms came in super short. And it's like, well, that might not matter, but they were like really short. So you're picturing him trying to, block people. I don't know.
Listen, maybe they'll use the same
Linderbaum
ruler.
at center?
Maybe they'll use the same ruler they used for Kenny Pickett's hands on his pro day, and it'll go up.
I don't think it's a rule. I think it's a toothpick, and they just put little markings on it.
Right.
But
listen, if they traded back,
yeah,
I would love to land Tyler Linderbaum. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to go 2 linemen in the first round.
No.
I would love that.
They brought in Feliciano. I think they're just going to try to go with him, even though he's not a great. But Linderbaum was being talked about in the top 10. I haven't seen him talked about hardly in the top 15 anymore, and I think it's all because of his little arms.
It'll be curious to see where he goes. He'll go to the Eagles, replace Jason Kelsey, and be all pro in 2 years. I know it.
So Daniel Jeremiah has Hutchinson going 1, Trayvon Walker going 2, Thibodeau going 3, and Sauce going 4.
Right. And then he has the Giants taking Aquanu. And then he has the Giants at 7 taking Jermaine Johnson. And what I said to that was, even though I think it's a tad high for Jermaine Johnson, I don't think there's any great ceilings coming from him. I think he's a good, solid football player. I think he's an 8 to 10 sack a year guy. He plays the run pretty well. I think he's a good, solid edge. He's not a game breaker, probably not worth the 7. But ultimately, if the Giants walked away from this draft with Aquanu and Jermaine Johnson in the first round, I'd be thrilled. Edge help, increase the pass rush, really solid offensive tackle. And Aquanu is so much fun to watch. I mean, he's going to get a couple penalties each year, but he's also going to put a lot of guys on their ass. I'd be thrilled with that. I really would. Devin Lloyd, we spoke about him earlier. I like him a lot. Not sure he's worth the 7, but a trade back. And Devin Lloyd, I love Devin Lloyd. I think he could be really, really good. I know Johnny Stark thinks he's a spitting image of Isaiah Simmons, and I think he's more of a Micah Parsons. But
that is what happened.
Anyway, but there's a lot. Kyle Hamilton to the Giants. Now that's interesting. At 7, because we need
it's wide open now.
Wait, what do we do? We got rid of.
We released
Logan Ryan.
So we have a hole now, and we haven't signed Peppers yet. So we have a hole now at safety.
Apparently, the Peppers is. It looks like they're talking.
Are they? Because he's still been rehabbing at the Giants facility.
The stadium.
So he obviously doesn't not want to be there. Depending on his deal, I would take him back. I don't think he'll require a big contract coming off the injury. And that's the way I want to keep it. I would not spend top 5 safety, maybe even top 10 safety money on him.
Yeah, I see a lot of people have Kyle Hamilton rated as the best player in the draft.
Yeah,
with the highest ceiling, but it's
Kyle Hamilton is the do-it-all safety. I've watched about pretty much every snap of his as a Notre Dame fan. I've watched every snap. I said from his freshman year, that guy's a lock for the first round. He's a ball hawk in the passing game. He can play anywhere. He can line up in the box. He can line up on the tight ends, obviously back at safety. He's not afraid to tackle. He's a good tackler. My only concern is with that he's not afraid to get dirty and make the tackle. He's 6'4". obviously he's young, so he's a little thin. So I think he's a little on that injury prone spectrum. He got banged up a little bit last year for Notre Dame, but he's the do it all safety, man.
I have number 2 on my board.
Same.
I just don't. I have him 2. I have Sauce 3. I just can't take a D-back in the top 10 unless I'm a team who happens to be really good.
Take a safety that high.
Unless I'm a team who's really good, happens to have a top pick from someone else, and I'm like, that's the finishing touch to my team. I'm just a believer that you build from the ball out, and these guys that are involved in every single play. If your team is really, really bad, like the Giants, you got to build the foundation before you put the nice windows or it's about the engine, whatever analogy you want, the engine before the paint job, the foundation before the windows. That's what I feel. Again, I don't know if that makes any sense. It might be advanced analytic. People might say, no, that makes no sense. A corner is more important because of the way the passing game is. When I watch the game, it's still a line of scrimmage game. So for me, my top 10 picks, I like them to be offensive line, defensive line, or quarterback. That's just me. I don't know.
No, I think you're
right.
And
the Giants happen to have 2 solid corners. Like the corners are okay. Like secondary is not the issue right now. Offensive line's the issue, and we haven't had a pass rush since in 10 years. So
yeah.
So apparently there are talks between the Giants and Kansas City about moving Bradbury there, but they can't agree on compensation.
I saw that they're willing to eat possibly willing to eat part of Bradbury's contract to get a better compensation for him. So we'll see what happens. I also saw that the Chiefs are willing to look at Stephon Gilmore for the right price as well. So that could end for us.
Who they're going to have eat the contract is Danny Shelton. I think he's going to –
hungry guy.
He's a big guy. So someone's working on Malik Willis. I love how Marco's on like California time because he's doing whatever he's doing. I don't know what he does,
but he's doing it.
But then about 30 seconds later, he gets the jokes. Will you guys take quarterback Malik Willis if he went to the second round? Well, that's always interesting. What if Kenny Pickett's just sitting there, or Malik Willis?
Not going to be, but
someone's going to take him in the first round.
Yeah, it's just. I mean,
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would. Because as a second round pick, maybe he's a franchise quarterback, and if he's not, then
All right, how about this scenario? Would you trade up into the low first round if one of them was still there?
I just don't think that they do.
No.
I think they want to start, grab a fresh, do the team this year.
Maybe Willis, but
I think that they just go, it's house money, as I've been saying for a while when I tweeted that tweet. That's the reason Joe Shane decided to come here. When I said, Joe, come here. It's house money. Daniel Jones wasn't your guy anyway. If he's great. If he sucks, you get your guy next year. And Joe was like, "Well, it's a good point. I'm going to come to the Giants."
Yeah, that is what happened. I saw
the whole thing. So here's my.
I wasn't on that thread.
No, you weren't on that thread. Here is my top 10 players.
There it is. Look at that.
I don't know if this is going
to. You have to bring it closer. Yeah.
Hutchinson.
Just read them.
Hamilton.
No, I want to do. Why is it blurry?
I don't know.
Touch screen.
There it is.
Neal 4.
It's a good comment
O'Connor.
by Willis is just not dropping that far.
Cross. Davis.
That's the top 10. And then here, guys, everybody was talking, salivating over Willis's across the body throw. And Zach Wilson made the same throw in their pro days. So I throw this video up. I say, I see Malik Willis and Zach Wilson trending because of their downfield throws across their bodies at their pro days. Here's that throw in an actual game. And I post my favorite Daniel Jones throw, which is this one.
Simpler times.
Wait, I really want to just get the angle right here.
There we go. Boom.
So maybe like that. Yeah. There it was. So that throw.
What is that? Game 1, where he actually played well.
Game 1. That video. How many people have viewed that video?
How many people do I think?
Yeah.
From your video?
Yeah, just that tweet. How many people have viewed that?
120.
Marco?
I would say thousands.
Let's see if we can get that number. Can you see that number?
No.
1,809. Is that what it is?
No.
65,000.
55,000.
Oh, sorry, that one.
55,000 people. I got 18,000 likes.
Frank's
I got 100.
Frank
What
is
up?
one of them.
What?
Look at the comments. You're not even appreciating your guys.
Look right there. Boom.
Frank,
Well, I'm trying to do
won.
7 things at once. So Frank was one of the people who saw it, you're saying?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Love it. And people are using this video. I mean, half the people, I'm getting like dozens of people. You idiot, Jones sucks. He hasn't done things in so long. You moron, jump off a building, whatever. All these things. So eventually I just write, people on here are so funny. I post one video of one throw, just showing this good throw, and everyone's using it it fuels this whole debate.
Take it and run.
Jones, is he good? Is he bad? He's trash. You guys are living in the past. I even had Giants fans come after me. Bro, I love Giants fans, but you're pathetic. You're living in the past. I'm just saying it was a good throw. I'm not saying Jones is the answer.
Little
Nuts, man.
Little minor rumor floating. Not even a rumor. Little minor news that just came across my screen. Sauce Gardner met privately with the Texans.
Oh, they went out to dinner in Cincinnati?
Met privately with the Texans. So
they met him. They were waiting in the bathroom of the restaurant during the Giants
met
meeting.
privately.
It was like Marco. It was like The Godfather. They were meeting him in the bathroom. They had him come out. They were like, "Well, I'm not going to say that he wanted to shoot."
Sauce must have felt like it was so bad where they met that he didn't even want to worth mentioning.
Yo, by the way, Duke is going down right now. They're freaking getting shut out. It's 2-0 Texas Tech.
No, man. Texas Tech looking legit.
Let's see. Very similar situation. Lamar dropped to 32. He was projected top 10. And
you know what? Lamar is the reason why Malik Willis will not drop that far now. That's because that's very similar.
Very similar situation.
Lamar's success is the reason Malik Willis is never going to drop that far.
Plus, there are other quarterbacks already taken off the board. We're anticipating that these two quarterbacks are probably the only two that are going to be taken in the first round.
Anthony, we also have to just hope that someone is Gettleman level. I'm not going to use the word, and wants to take a quarterback that shouldn't be taken much higher. So who just said something here that was interesting? Oh,
that's pretty funny.
What?
So Connor was saying that Lamar Jackson dropped to 32, but yet hey, look who we took. We got Will Hernandez, who's halfway out the door.
I loved that pick too, and boy, oh boy,
you guys are in love with the idea of having Hamilton and Xavier McKinney, and that would be great.
It'd be a sweet.
But two young safeties, a great team does not make. Like, didn't the Dolphins have a 6 secondary and go nowhere? 2 safeties, Jack.
What you're talking about, like just recently?
Fitzpatrick and someone
else. It's kind of weird. They traded Fitzpatrick
and
they signed another stud corner to have 2 stud corners where they could have had that situation's a little weird.
You just got to look at what works in the NFL. You need your QB, you need blocking, you need an edge rush, you need some playmakers.
Yeah, if everyone sticks by that and Hamilton falls out of the top 10, gem for a team that's not as bad as the Giants.
I agree.
Gem.
I agree. You get a team.
If he goes to Washington,
maybe a team whose offense is pretty good and defense is trash, and that's why they're around the top 10. You take Hamilton, you could change your whole defense around. The Giants' defense it's average. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The offense abysmal. Now Johnny's talking about Daniel Jones, and John's he's one of those people saying you cannot judge him because of last year because of all the injuries and everything like that. And people are just so divided on Jones. I've never seen anything like it from a Giants fan standpoint. I've been pro. I'm kind of getting anti. In case you're curious, Johnny, my opinion on Daniel Jones is that you can win games with Jones, but I don't think Jones is going to win you games. I was actually, you know what I did the other night, guys? I rewatched because I have it on my DVR. I watched the 4th quarter of the Giants-New Orleans game when they came back this past year. Saquon had that late touchdown. And it was just so evident to me. I'm pretty confident in my evaluation of Jones at this point. He throws a good ball. And He's tough. He's not afraid of pressure.
Nope.
I mean, physical pressure.
Yep.
He can run great straight ahead, but he struggles with his actual pocket mobility. He stares his receivers down so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know that he's got that big play ability where it seems to me that in those big moments when he can just go make a play and get them over the edge, over the hump, he doesn't seem to do it frequently enough. So, I think he could be another one of those line of quarterbacks where, I don't know, maybe in the same vein as a Kirk Cousins or even like a Dak Prescott. You build a good team around him. You could be a perennial playoff team, but is he going to go out there and put the team on his back, on his shoulders, and just say, I'm winning this game, and just boom, making plays and dodging guys in the pocket and throwing and looking off to different receivers, and there's a clutch moment. He knows exactly what to do. I'm just not quite seeing that from him. So that's
to be
just
honest,
my feeling,
I think this is one of those classic moments where you and Johnny Stark are both right. You're right, and he's right. I mean, his supporting cast has been abysmal. Has not gotten a fair shot, but it doesn't mean you can't judge him at least a little bit. And I think that's where you're kind of spot on right now.
I think I was excited that first game. It was exciting seeing him get in there and he was mixing it up. And I'm like, oh man, maybe this is the guy. But now
Will texted me. I'll never forget this. Never forget this.
Really? Are you making this up?
No, I'm not. Will rips on me for somewhat liking Daniel Jones when the Giants took him. Not where they took him. That's a whole different story. I actually liked Daniel Jones going into the draft. I'm like, there's something about him that he could be the next one of those random quarterbacks that comes from a non-popular football school. Obviously, Duke's popular, and becomes really good. And Will ragged on me. And when he was coming back in that Tampa Bay game, Will texted me, I hate you. Because there was a glimpse of that immediately. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Hey, I would never be so happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
Than if Daniel Jones turned out to be the real deal.
I don't know. The luster is off though now.
The luster lasted one game.
And the injuries.
Frankie's saying Eli had the same problem staring his receivers down. And I've said this before too. I wonder if Eli has Jones might just be Eli without the magic. And Eli without the magic was a 500 quarterback who didn't really win a whole lot of games in the playoffs and stuff without those two playoff runs. And we all love Eli and appreciate Eli. We look back with rose-colored glasses. Well, let's be honest. Beside those 2 seasons, there was a lot of frustration. A lot of, this isn't the guy. He's throwing picks. He's got that face. He's fumbling the ball.
There's a lot of 7-9 win seasons.
I think he was. What did you say, Jack?
I said it was a lot of 7-9 win seasons where you're like just missing the playoffs or like squeaked in.
And I think
0-4 starts and
What do you say?
And 0-4 starts and there's a lot of frustration there too.
I think that Eli was such an anomaly that you usually don't get that. Like, remember, was it Gettleman or Mara who said if you like the last 15 years of Eli, you're going to love the next 10 to 15 years of Jones? And I'm like, we didn't love the last 15. We loved 2 of the Eli years. And then again in 2008.
He did have some really good years.
He had more than 2.
In 2012, he was like a top 5-ish type of passer. Yeah. But in general, if Eli didn't win those Super Bowls, if they had first-round exits in those seasons, and we look back at his entire career, the first overall pick, and never won a Super Bowl, and had the same amount of wins as losses, and a lot of, would we be looking back and saying, wow, we love this guy? Like those championships really solidified him and took him from like here to way up here.
They would have moved on with him in 2010.
Rightfully so.
If he didn't win a championship. I mean, you couldn't. It was that purgatory level of an NFL team where you're just hovering 500 every year, and some years you were just over, some years you were just under, and you could never get a good draft pick, to make a big move. That's called purgatory in the NFL.
So I sort of feel like the Giants with Daniel Jones will be as good as the rest of the team is. If the team around him is good, they could be pretty good. If the team around him is not that good, like Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, these guys can take any team and make them playoff teams. Some guys can't. I don't think Jones is ever going to be that guy. So that's just kind of how I feel.
I agree.
Daniel Jones is a starter, or do you want to have Tyrod Taylor as the starter? I think Jones is the starter, but I think he's got a short leash. I don't think it's any level. Like, I think he's kind of got a foot out the door, honestly. It's a new regime. Tyrod Taylor, guys, was at Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was not recently, but he
Not
was.
What was he with Buffalo with Dable and Shane?
He was. Yeah.
I don't think with Dable. That might have been that was
Shane?
too long ago. Shane,
I think he was.
Let
me look it up. Let me be sure.
Yeah,
that was a while ago. What'd you say?
It was a while ago because Tyrod went to the Chargers, the Browns, and the Texans. So
let me ask you guys this: how many bad games does Daniel Jones have to start the season off with before they start Tyrod Taylor? I think it's like 3.
I'm gonna go a little longer than that. I think it's like 5 or 6. I mean, unless it's like downright like unbelievably bad, which I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think that's what Daniel Jones is. So I think it's gonna be a little bit longer where they kind of give him like 6-7 games to show them something, and then if they're 2-5, they're like, all right, we just gotta try Tyrod Taylor out.
You are correct. He was not.
He was not
2018 was when he was out, and he was coming in.
Marco, Giants start 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
Jones is averaging 1 touchdown and 2 picks in each of those games, and the Giants aren't scoring more than like 15 points a game. Does Tyrod Taylor start the 4th game?
I say no. Do you think Tyrod
Taylor by Jones though? It's close.
Do you think Tyrod's the future of the Giants? I don't.
No, of course not.
Do you think?
No, and that's why
Jones ride.
I kept saying, Marco, that I don't understand why people care who the backup quarterback is. Mm-hmm. If you bring in a quarterback who's going to win some games at backup, he's not the quarterback the next year. All you're doing is hurting your draft pick for getting a real quarterback. So just have no backup. It's either Jones or nobody, and then you tank for your quarterback next year. Sadly.
Yeah. We have short memories, wanted Toomer Barber and Eli after the first 3 years. This is true. What? That Giants fans have short memories that we wanted Amani Toomer, Tiki Barber, and Eli out after their first 3 years.
Well, that's the thing with Jones, because you look back at Eli and say a lot of people couldn't stand Eli Manning until he won that Super Bowl in his 4th year. So I'm like, what do you say?
I was going to say also Eli Manning was the first overall pick. Jones shouldn't have been the 6th. So there's a little difference in that.
Right.
But I get where he's coming from.
But I don't see Daniel Jones winning a Super Bowl this year like Eli did in his 4th year.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't Eli's 4th year?
Was it his 4th year? It was 04, right?
Eli was 04 draft, 07 Super Bowl.
Right.
It was his 4th season. 04 was his rookie year. 5, 2nd year. 6, 3rd year. 7, 4th year.
You got to run the math.
So anyway, we'll see what happens. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we get some more rumors. We'll see some more pro days. I don't love pro days because I think it's not as official. I think that, the measurements and the cones and the stopwatch, they always say it's a little bit different than it is.
Linderbaum. It's going to lengthen.
Yeah, that Kenny Pickett rule is coming up. Linderbaum's arms.
This is going to be a grower.
Who is?
Linderbaum is going to be a grower, is what we're saying.
Yeah, he's probably stretching his arms out right now.
He's a grower, not a shower.
He's going to come in with some fake arms. He's going to have his arms like this, and he's going to have some kind of, foam arms. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see in the next few weeks if we can get some rumors. But I'm still standing strong with where I am with those guys that I want, that big 5. I wouldn't be mad if they got Gardner.
I agree with you in your theory of how the Giants should build this team. I'm just saying it might not happen that way, and they might go 2 defensive players.
It could.
And then when are you going to get a tackle, Marco? A right tackle. You're going to pray that next year there's a sick tackle that happens to drop to us wherever we happen to be. Oh, but we need a quarterback in the first round, and we might have to trade our second round pick to get a tackle. Where is the right tackle coming from?
I also think you never have a perfect roster. Never. There's always a hole somewhere.
Would you rather a hole be at right tackle or somewhere on an average defense?
I'm just saying. I'm just letting you know. Why are you shooting the messenger? I'm letting you know that it's a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised.
I thought you were advocating for it.
No, I'm not advocating. I'm just saying.
You're berating him over it. It's not his opinion.
Exactly.
Berating? Oh, sorry, princesses. Berating him. Oh my goodness.
How could you? How dare you?
Dare you? Hold on. Shut his mic. Shut his mic.
Curse you.
Thanks, Johnny. Johnny can sense that we're wrapping it up because we're getting tired.
Great show, guys. Johnny, you are correct. We have.
By the way, the Chiefs Stadium went on fire, and it was everything I could do.
I thought it was Denver.
Denver Stadium went on fire, and it's all that I could do but to make a comment about our stadium. I'm not going to say anything. I don't wish ill upon any place or person, so I'm not going to make a comment about which stadium burning would be.
Whatever. Just a burning trash can.
Oh my goodness. I just can't stand our stadium. It's just so ugly.
The great metropolis.
It's the ugliest stadium in all of sports.
The biggest feature is that it turns blue to green. That's the big, selling feature.
Yeah. And how many night games do we even play a year? 2? Right. So they put the uplighting on it. The rest of the time, it looks like an alien's an alien toilet they left on our planet.
It looks like a prison toilet bowl.
So I was able to tour Bank of America Stadium. I got the behind-the-scenes tour because I went down last month. Phenomenal stadium, and they're like, it's getting old. We're probably going to build a new one across the river. I'm like, look at this.
Wait, Bank of America. That's not Philly or Ravens.
Panthers,
Bank of America. Right? Okay. So anyway, you guys got anything else?
No, I'm good till next week.
I'm waiting on more of the rumors to come in, and hopefully
I'm feeling better right now than I was early. I don't think Thibodeau gets past the Jets. I just have a feeling they're not going to let Thibodeau get past them. So I do think the DNs will be off the board unless the Giants want to go Walker, and I hope they don't. I know they were at George's pro day, but George's got tons of guys. I am feeling confident.
James Cook.
I'm feeling more confident. What'd you say?
James Cook.
I'm feeling more confident in Cross as an NFL player than I've ever felt. I'm feeling more confident that a tackle, one of those 3 tackles, will fall to the Giants because of some of the Malik Willis rumors to the top 5. And I am feeling, and maybe the Jets wanting to take Sauce now because of Tyreek Hill in the top 5. And I'm feeling more confident now than I have ever that the Giants are interested in all 3 tackles and taking one of them at 5. So if I had to bet right now, I'd say the Giants take a tackle at 5 or 7 and either trade that pick or take Sauce or Thibodeau if he falls to them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
So Hamilton's going to be in the conversation.
So next week,
I agree. Yeah, every player that goes in the top 4 that's not a lineman or an edge is just huge. If you start seeing Willis or Hamilton or Sauce, and it's like, oh my God, are we actually going to get like Neal and Thibodeau?
Yeah,
that'd be sick. So anyway,
we're getting close. So next week,
and who can tell me what football team this inadvertently is paying homage to?
Denver Broncos.
So the 70s Broncos, the Orange Crush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not really what this is. This is just an old, Crush drink.
Orange soda.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, you're wearing an orange soda t-shirt.
Orange soda t-shirt, yeah. Either
big
that
orange
or I'm a fan now. But all right, fellas, good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good talking to you guys. Let's see next
close.
week, Wednesday, Thursday. Everyone keep coming back.
Yeah.
Jack, where are you going to be for the draft? Tell everybody.
I'll be right in the draft's backyard in Las Vegas.
Ooh,
right there. I'll be making my bum rush to the Giants draft room to try to give them Joe Shane my 2 cents. Yeah,
hold on.
I'll be in Las Vegas, not at the draft, but close to it.
they're gonna go to hand Walker the jersey with the number 1 on it.
I'm
And
gonna rip it out of him.
Jack's gonna rip it out of his hand like that
Right.
that baseball player who took the flag out of the outfield and the guy was gonna burn the American flag. Oh God.
All right, everyone.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for writing. Appreciate it. Love you all.
Yes.
Go Giants.
Have a great night.
All right, everyone.
All right, guys.
Talk to you next week. Peace out, everyone.
Till next time.